Today, we're taking a journey through a chapter of history that is as fascinating as it is chilling. The story of Project Paperclip, a secret U.S. intelligence operation that brought Nazi scientists to America after World War II. This isn't just a tale of scientific advancement, it's a story of moral compromise, political maneuvering, and the enduring legacy of a decision that still echoes through our society today. Our source for this episode is the groundbreaking book Secret Agenda: The United States Government, Nazi Scientists and Project Paperclip, 1945 to 1990, by Linda Hunt. This book is a testament to the power of investigative journalism and the Freedom of Information Act, which allowed Hunt to peel back the layers of secrecy surrounding this controversial project. Picture this. The guns of World War II have barely fallen silent when hundreds of German and Austrian scientists, some implicated in Nazi war crimes, begin making their way to the United States. This wasn't a random occurrence. It was the result of a covert intelligence project codenamed Paperclip. The U.S. government, eager to harness the scientific prowess of Hitler's former experts, orchestrated their immigration under the guise of national security. But here's the kicker. Paperclip wasn't the short-term operation it was purported to be. No, it was the biggest, longest-running operation involving Nazis in U.S. history, continuing until 1973 and leaving remnants that persist to this day. Over 1,600 scientific and research specialists, along with thousands of their dependents, were brought to America under this project. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The U.S. government promoted the lie that Paperclip was a limited post-war operation, but as Hunt reveals, this was pure propaganda. The project was a juggernaut, so significant that in 1956, an American ambassador described it as a continuing U.S. recruitment program, which has no parallel in any other allied country. But why the secrecy? Why the deception? Because the full story of Paperclip is far from flattering. It includes the shocking revelation that one of the intelligence officers who ran the project was a spy. U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel William Henry Whalen, the highest-placed American military officer ever convicted of espionage, was selling America's defense secrets to Soviet agents while overseeing Paperclip. The legacy of Paperclip is a complex one. On one hand, it gave us the moon rockets, jet planes, and other scientific achievements that were a product of post-war research. But on the other hand, it left a dark stain on our history. The project led to horrific psychochemical experiments conducted on American soldiers at Edgewood Arsenal, Maryland, the U.S. Army Center for Chemical Warfare Research. Here, 8 Paperclip scientists worked on developing nerve gas and psychochemicals like LSD, but the disturbing truth is that American doctors used Nazi science as a basis for Dachau-like experiments on over 7,000 U.S. soldiers. This is a stark reminder that the legacy of Paperclip is not just about scientific advancement, it's about the moral compromises we made along the way. The officers who ran Paperclip were driven by a Cold War philosophy that prioritized the end over the means. They were determined to use any means necessary to keep Nazi scientists out of Russian hands, even if that meant violating U.S. laws and foreign policy. Their actions were often shrouded in secrecy, and their decisions reflected a mindset that was more concerned with anti-communism than with the ethical implications of their actions. For example, in 1948, JIOA officers simply changed the records of the scientists they wanted, expunging evidence of war crimes and ardent Nazism. This was a direct defiance of an order given by President Harry Truman. But the officers justified their actions by claiming that the government's concern over picayune details, such as Nazi records, would result in the best interests of the United States subjugated to the efforts expended in beating a dead Nazi horse. The repercussions of these actions are still being felt today. Take the case of Arthur Rudolph, a retired NASA rocket engineer who left the country in 1984 rather than face war crimes charges. His case attracted a bizarre assortment of defenders, including a U.S. congressman with alleged organized crime connections. The question of how many more Rudolphs are out there remains unanswered. The book also delves into the ongoing cover-up of Paperclip's true history. The U.S. Army Materiel Command, for instance, tried to charge Hunt $239,680 in search fees to access documents, and even denied the existence of records before finally releasing them after a year of legal wrangling. This is just one example of the obstacles faced by those trying to uncover the truth. The denial of Paperclip's dark past continues to this day. The U.S. Air Force even published translations of the Germans' wartime research in 2 volumes, glorifying the Nazis and ignoring the lessons of Nuremberg. The volumes contained heavily censored versions of the Nazi scientists' work, with no mention of the authors' Nazi affiliations or the crimes they had committed. As we reflect on the story of Paperclip, it's clear that the legacy of this project is a complex and troubling one. It's a story of scientific advancement, yes, but it's also a story of moral compromise, political maneuvering, and the enduring consequences of decisions made in the name of national security. The question we must ask ourselves is, how do we reconcile the benefits of the scientific knowledge gained with the moral cost of the actions taken to obtain it? As we move forward, we must strive to learn from the past and ensure that the mistakes made during the Cold War are not repeated. We must hold our institutions accountable and demand transparency and ethical decision-making in all matters of national security. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the shadows of history. I hope this episode has shed some light on a topic that is often overlooked and has encouraged you to think critically about the decisions that shape our world. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep seeking the truth.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Secret Agenda, the United States Government, Nazi Scientists, and Project Paperclip, 1945 to 1990 by Linda Hunt. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.